What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Game Plan, and it's the big one, Super Bowl breakdown show. We're going to talk bets on the game. We're going to talk about some player props, and we get some silly props in there with an all-star crew. As usual, I've got from the Sharp app, John Statsational, Alesia here with me. And from RotoWire, we've got the man with the plan, Alan Seslowsky, player prop / silly bet specialist. And of course, myself, Kevin Allen. You guys know me as the Geek, and we're going to break this all down. What's going on, Seslowsky?
You should have named this the Sharp and the Square. You got John here, you got me here. It's the Sharp and the Square.
Well, I thought I was the Square.
No, you're like triangular. You fit right in between the two. You have square sides, but you're still sharp points.
Yes, I'm a purposeful square.
You're the Paul Lind of the group. You're the center square.
That's it. That's
for the older. That's for our older listeners.
Yeah.
Paul Lind might even be older than me.
Yeah. Jim J. Bullock.
Jim J. Bullock. There we go.
Square. Yeah.
There we go. Jim J. Bullock. Haven't heard that name in a while. But we Jim J. Bullock. A Jim J. Bullock reference. Oh my goodness. This is 60.
Your 60 and over crowd is going nuts right now. They're on the floor laughing.
They're loving it.
Yeah. Well, that's who watches this. Our demographic is.
Well, what was the show San Francisco where he had the two daughters and Ted Knight? What was the show they were out? He was the art. He was the two hot daughters.
Man, you've lost me, bro. You're going back to 1970s sitcoms.
1980s.
I do remember what you're saying, but I can't remember it. But of course I know it, but I can't remember it. But you know what?
It wasn't The Bold and the Beautiful, right?
No. This is a sitcom.
Oh, I'll get it right. I'll get it in 1 second.
All right. So in the meantime, we're talking
too close for comfort. Too close for comfort.
Right. What was it? Too close for comfort? What was it?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. With Monroe. That was Jim J. Bullock was Monroe. Yeah. The
center square. All right, so bringing it back around here, we are talking Super Bowl bets, and we got the 49ers at the Chiefs, the big game. The Chiefs are currently, depending on where you look, +1.5, +2. Most of the books have it at +2 at the moment. It opened at +3, and it has been bet down a little bit. So let's start with the baseline props for this game before we get into or the lines for this game before we get into props and silly stuff, right? The game total set around 47.5. So John, representing the Sharp app here, one of the great things we do at the Sharp app is identify the sharp side and the square side of each bet. And what are you seeing for the Super Bowl right now?
I mean, the sharp side is clearly San Francisco right now. So the Sharps came in early on this one. All of the square public money is coming in on Kansas City. I think it was pretty obvious. It should be pretty obvious to even the let's say newer bettors out there that the market was going to come in on the whole on the Kansas City side of this game. Now, this is what happens in general. Now you've got Patrick Mahomes, so it kind of adds a little bit of a twist. Usually a Mahomes is going to be a favorite. But what happens is it happens in the Super Bowl. It happens you see it in the NCAA tournament all the time. The team, it's always that underdog team, the team that people didn't expect to make it, that always gets the majority of the money because people look at their wins as being more impressive than the team that was supposed to get theirs wins. And San Francisco, let's face it, they haven't looked that impressive in the playoffs, but they've been winning. But did Kansas City look all that great against Baltimore? It's just the fact that people thought Baltimore was going to win. Baltimore might be the best team.
John.
And that's why.
You make a, I don't mean to jump over here, but I mean, you just said it. San Francisco struggled on the road with Green Bay and with Detroit. And
at home.
Yeah, at home. Sorry. Yeah. And Mahomes goes on the road and beats two of the best teams in the NFL. So you could say it's narrative, but it actually happened, right? I mean, this is how many times during the year did you guys on this podcast and every podcast say, it's just not the year for the Chiefs. It's just not the year. And then they end up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. They just haven't looked that good until, now they're getting a little bit better play. All of a sudden, Kelsey's woken up. That's really the difference. I mean, Kelsey, how many weeks was he just, DFS-wise, he wasn't even getting double digits for us in for 8 weeks. He was just not useful. And now come the playoffs, he's just awakened. So that's really been the key. They're getting something from Rice. They've got a running game with Pacheco. So you know, the quarterback, we know what the quarterback is. That's what makes this one a little bit more difficult for me, because it's a classic case of everything that I was saying earlier, where the value is definitely on the San Francisco side of this game, but it's Mahomes is just the X factor. And that's the difference here. If this was not Mahomes, if this was another quarterback, I would say I definitely love San Francisco, but Mahomes gives you pause. You are not getting rich betting against Mahomes. So the public is definitely going to be on Mahomes. They are already. The sharp bettors are on San Francisco. I'm leaning the San Francisco side. I already put it out because it's the Super Bowl, but it's not a game I love. But I think the sharper side, if you want to bet with the sharps, you're going to be on the San Francisco side of this game.
All right. Let me step in here, because in this case, fuck the sharps. I'm going like this game absolutely reminds me of so many of, especially the earlier Patriots Super Bowls, where the Patriots team always kind of looked like the less good team on paper. There was talent on the other side and everything looked good, and it was always the sharp side against them. But that Brady intangible would come through in the Super Bowl and they would win the game. So if you ever got Brady, think about just Brady ever as an underdog. He's getting points. Brady, when are you nuts? That was always the bet, to take the Brady side of it. And that's why I think the squares are correct. I think everything about the Mahomes narrative is true. They have stepped up in the playoffs. They've looked like a different team. Travis Kelce, all of a sudden, he's like, all right, T-Swizz, it's the playoffs. I need my life force. We're going to hold off until after the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden, he has become the Travis Kelce of old.
Is he abstaining like boxers used to do?
Yes,
for the
100%. Travis, listen, T-Swizz, love Taylor Swift, whatever. Not on the hate train, but she's like a succubus. You know, she's sucking your life energy out of you. And even if it's just like the aura, the persona, she's hanging out with Brittany Mahomes. Now Pat Mahomes is getting a little of the energy sucked away. They're going out. Bradley Cooper's there. Blake Lively's out. She's like, Blake Lively's downstairs. She wants to hang out. All of that has sucked the energy out of this team during the regular season, but who cares? It's the playoffs. They serioused up. And I mean, you cannot deny, and no one will deny, that we're seeing vintage Travis Kelce for 3, and we will continue to see that in this game.
Yeah, I'll be quick here because you guys mostly covered it here. That look, it's there's a reason we're calling him Baby Goat, right? Patrick Mahomes, because if he wins this one, he's well on the path to get 8, because that's what he needs to break Brady's record. 7, just get him right there. And it's like this really is a 50-50 game, because John said San Francisco is the better team. He's right. Just like last week, the smart money was on Baltimore, but when there's 2 minutes left and Patrick Mahomes has the ball down 1 score, you feel like an idiot. Whereas if you're on the other side and San Francisco's down 4 points, needs a touchdown to score, and it's Brock Purdy, you're like, we'll see what happens. So that's really, it's a 50-50 game, and in a 50-50 game, you want to take the points. But I'll say this again, last time, the smart money, I don't call it sharp, because the logical bet is on San Francisco.
Yeah. Now I'm going to throw out there how I chose to bet this game, as I hate losing. So with everything that was said here, and I'm going to throw in another statistic for these two teams. Both of these two teams, for the most part, they're in close games. They've been in close games all playoffs, and I think that continues here. Meaning, if we want the can't lose side of this, and listen, saying can't lose is a little bit lame on a betting show, but I don't care. If you want the can't lose side of this, what I'm looking to do is add a few points to the Chiefs here. So the Chiefs are sitting at +2, +1.5, depending on the book. If I'm adding a couple of points to their score, I feel really confident if I'm getting Chiefs +4.5 here. I think this game comes down to a field goal. If you get it to 7 in a larger can't lose style parlay, that's the side that I'm looking to move. So in my bets where I'm parlaying up a couple of different scenarios, one of the first moves I'm doing is on the total, is I'm looking to push the total beyond 3.5 plus for the Chiefs. And even if I can get it to 7 and still feel comfortable with that particular play. So those are the two key numbers for me that I'm looking to do. Most of my bets will include either a Chiefs +3.5, which will get, I'll come in at -140. It's all right. Or even a Chiefs +7. which will loosen up those odds. But I think it gets you that can't lose number on not necessarily can't lose, but shouldn't lose number either way, regardless of which team wins it at the end. No sweat. What do you think?
I like it to get it. I like getting it up to 7.5. I like that, and then play it in some sort of a parlay with maybe another big favorite. One thing, do not like when we talk about teasers, do not tease the total at all. Just don't touch that. But I don't mind taking the alt line on the 49. I'm sorry, on the Chiefs up to the 7.5. I'm good with that. And then maybe you could find a big favorite bet that you like that with and parlay, John, even if it's not in this game. Maybe if it's in another game Sunday.
Why don't tease the total? What's the reason for that? When
you look at a distribution on totals, right? You've got the games. The totals don't. The totals have a wider distribution, right? You can hit a much wider spread on the distribution. So the value of those points is not as great as the value is moving a line. Like more football games are going to be decided within 7 points than 7 points necessarily of where the total is. Like, so this total can finish. There's a greater likelihood of this total finishing 20 points away from where it's posted than there is the game being 20 points away from where.
John, let me throw something in there with that. I have a question specific to that. All right, the total versus the so the total in this game is 47.5 points. Right. And you said don't tease. And I agree with that, because the teaser is a set. When you actually use a teaser, it's like 6 points. Right. There's a set number of points and there's a set odds for that happening. And when you choose to use those 6 points on the total, you're getting less impact per point than you do on the spread. But let's throw the teaser out and let's use alt lines. Listen, we are in the days of modernity.
No, exactly.
Okay? It is now. It is not, my bookie coming into the office on Friday with a sheet going around. You know what I mean? This is today, where we have beautiful apps that we can adjust the total. So do you feel the same about, let's say, looking at this total and just hitting the alt line over 40? And is that, are the odds for that adjusted properly?
It's the same sort of thing. So I don't necessarily like doing the adjusted taking an alt line on that total. I don't mind it. As a matter of fact, I encourage it on the spreads. I particularly, when we do the game plan during the week, a lot of times I like to take it the plus money. I do the old, that old pizza bet sort of thing. I like it when you like a team, especially when I like a dog. I love laying, if I like a dog here, I don't mind laying some points. So I don't even mind that here. If you like Kansas City, go ahead and lay 3 points. Like, take that, take a -3 on that line, and then get yourself some plus money on the bet. I don't mind that much at all, as opposed to taking them on the money line, which you may be apt to do. So I don't mind that if you like them, but I would stay away from the alt line on totals in general. Same thing, I know we're not talking about other sports, but basketball, people start teasing totals in basketball. There's like, NBA, it's 235 point totals. Like, that's 6 points. It just logically should, or whatever the alt lines are, you could be alt lining 3 points or whatever. Like, why would you ever do that? Like, what, that 3 points, 4 points, 10 points doesn't mean nearly as much as it does. Now they account for that. The odds are different, but if you 38, I want to say about 38% of NFL games end in between the 3 and the 7.
For the record, guys, the Kansas City -3 is +154. Kansas City minus the hook, also 3.5, is +174. So if you think that Kansas City can, cover the field goal, you're getting plus odds. I mean, that feels like a pretty good bet.
I think I like that much better than taking Kansas City +2. Like, to me, we'll look like idiots when this is when San Francisco kicks that field goal to win, but. I'll take my chances that they'll cover 3 points if I like Kansas City, as opposed to taking the +2.
I wouldn't quite go there, but I think the move here is I would at most go, again, this game is finishing close. I would at most go, if you think KC is going to win, you could just -1 it. I don't think I'd lay the 3, because that is asking for some serious trouble. Your team wins and you still lose. Can't deal with that. Can't handle it. My psyche can't handle it. My emotions can't handle it. None of it can handle it.
You don't want to get. Do you know what the Mahomes' record is against the spread as a dog? It hasn't happened all that often, obviously.
I'm going to guess it's 6-0.
You're close.
5-1.
He is 7-1-1 as a dog.
Yeah. Don't bet against Mahomes as a dog.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. It's tough.
By the way, go back to Brady's career. This is the same
Brady,
thing.
Brady was a blind bet as a dog. It didn't happen often, obviously, with him either. But you blind bet Brady as a dog, and Mahomes is in a pretty good spot here. Like I said, I'm still on that sharp side. But
one of the things, and I'm curious of your opinion on this. I like the live betting. So let's say, for example, that I'm thinking about Kansas City here, and San Francisco scores on that first drive. So it's 7-0 San Francisco. I'm guessing the line moves about 4 points in Kansas City's favor, maybe even a full 6. And if I'm going to get Kansas City plus 8.5 at even money or minus 110 at that point, does that and you're like in the first 7 minutes of the first quarter with plenty of time to play? Do you think that's a good way to do it?
Yes. What you want to do is watch this game. If I'm live, when I'm live betting, not if. The minute the line shifts for any team more than that 3, I'm taking the plus. So San Francisco comes out, they score a touchdown on their first drive. It's now San Francisco instead of 49ers at this point is now -6, right? They scored. They moved from -2 to -5 or -6.
It might, probably 6.5, right, John?
Maybe a little less.
Yeah.
It won't be a touchdown.
You hammer Chiefs there +6. You just take it. The game. So the way I would play the live, and then I want to get into some of the matchup stuff here, so we can get into some player props. But the way I would play the live is the second one team scores and that line moves beyond +3 to either side, you're hammering the other side of it. Expect a close finish, and then you could kind of middle this on both sides as the game goes along. So that's how I would do it.
Here's the problem. So that is pretty much how most people play. Most people play live as they try to take the team that's going to be the underdog there. They're never going to take no one live bets San Francisco in that situation. So because of it, it's really hard to price the live in real time because you just don't have that much time to price it. We'll be doing that on the Sharp app. We're going to have live pricing.
So you're saying you get bad odds because they know the money's only going one way. Okay.
Exactly. They kind of, so it does get skewed a little bit. And in the Super Bowl, that's going to be a very popular bet. So you do have to be careful there. The one, I don't do a lot of live betting. The one live bet I liked last week or a week and a half ago was San Francisco when they were down. I did like Baltimore too. I didn't bet either one of them, but obviously the San Francisco one would have worked out. Now, and the Baltimore game, look, we're talking about Mahomes and how well, they beat some pretty good teams, obviously on the road. But I mean, they're a fumble on the goal line away from not being here potentially. I mean it's that tight, and San Francisco obviously could have lost either one of the games that they played. So yeah, I do think this is going to be a tight game. We're going to get into more bet. Do you want to talk about? I actually one sort of regular bet. The first half under I kind of like in this game. I don't know what your opinions are. The Super Bowls tend to start slow. There's obviously this week is just a lot of distraction for players. You've got not a rookie quarterback, but a rookie in this situation in Mahomes. I mean, we've seen Brady in this spot a million times. Even they have started off kind of slow, and a lot of, I think over the last 17 seasons, the under is like 11-6 for the first half. We've hit I think 4 or 5 out of the last 6 years have hit the under in the first half. Last year went over, but it was like we were on a 4 or 5 game stretch there where the under in the first half hit. I think, on occasion, Kansas City can start slow. You've got that Kansas City defense, which I think is, the Kansas City defense and the offense for San Francisco, the two best units probably on the field. I think with San Francisco's offense being their strength right now, with a quarterback who I expect to start slow, to be a little bit nervous against that defense, I think the under in the first half is going to be good, 23.5.
Can you also just take first drive punt, which is a plus 130 for both teams, or first drive field goal, which is plus 320 for both teams?
That's a trick. Yeah, I don't mind. Plus 130 on the punt
and plus,
for first drive.
Yeah, and you could do it team specific.
I like that. I like that.
So I'm gonna pile on, John, to your first half under for a different reason. We've seen over the past multiple seasons, teams coming off a bye tend to start slow, right? There's something, and even it happened in the playoffs where the bye teams tend to actually not cover or play to the under in that first week in the playoffs. There's something about having a week off in football, and then you pile on all the hullabaloo around a Super Bowl game that tends to just throw the timing a little bit, just a little bit of that sort of team chemistry stuff off for a little bit early in the game. They're not situated yet. It's a big moment. The crowd's going crazy. The Super Bowl, all of that pressure, combined with the fact they haven't played in a minute, that week off. It's not the same practice schedule that you normally have. So I really like it for that reason. It really coincides with some trends that have existed for a long time in terms of teams coming off a bye and sort of playing poorly or taking a while to get up to speed, which I think is that I was blaming a lot of, the San Francisco struggles against the Packers on that. And they come back in the second half. They look much better. So I like that concept, which is interesting because I also happen to love the overs in this game. But I want to talk a little bit about how these two teams play.
By the way, isn't that mean experience, by the way, matters, right? Because you would say if you believe that there's going to be jitters because it's an unfamiliar experience, doesn't that completely favor Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the Chiefs versus...
Well, I mean, it's not that San Francisco are not exactly not experienced in
Brock Purdy, the quarterback, is inexperienced.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely favors Mahomes. I think, we've that's what I've thought from the beginning, that like Mahomes being Mahomes, the Brady of our era in the Super Bowl, he's going to be more comfortable than every other quarterback that gets there because he's there more frequently and he's just that guy, right? So, yeah, that does matter. And again, that's why I'm definitely personally leaning to the Chiefs here.
Can I make a request for this next subject that we're going to talk about, or unless you had an agenda? I think this perfectly aligns with MVP guys. And, because you've always heard, if you think this team's going to win, just bet this quarterback for MVP, you get better odds. That may not apply if you're thinking about the San Francisco side.
I like.
Yeah, you want to. Yeah, I was just looking at the odds. I kind of like McCaffrey more if you like San Francisco than I do Purdy.
Plus 440 or something like that for McCaffrey.
It was like 475. I saw, I think, on DraftKings earlier. And so if you like the San Francisco side, I guess we could get into kind of where we think the game's going to go. But I think, especially early in this game, I think San Francisco relies heavily on the run because of that. Let's ease Purdy into this game. It lends to my under in the first half that I like. So I think we get a heavy. I mean, if you're coaching San Francisco, I mean, how would you do it? I mean, I would be looking heavily towards McCaffrey myself. I mean, that's the guy. If you could get him rolling, this whole offense is gonna start flowing.
Well, what does McCaffrey need to do to win the MVP? Of course,
well, two rushing touchdowns, maybe a receiving touchdown to go with it.
Team needs to win, first of all.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's a given.
Goes without saying. Yeah, he needs to score at least twice.
Right.
At least.
Have 10 catches for
seven. It depends on the score of the game, right? So if it's a low scoring game, maybe he just needs that one touchdown. If it's a high scoring game, he might need 3 touchdowns.
Right. He needs the one touchdown to win it at the end.
Or that. Yeah.
Right.
And probably a crazy play. What are the McCaffrey odds? You said plus 480?
475, right. Yep. Okay. And my colleague over at RotoWire, Jim Coventry, he actually made a really good reference. He said this is probably going to, and it goes with what you just said about what the game plan could be, that McCaffrey might see a old school Carolina Panthers workload, 30+ touches.
I could easily, and so that goes back to, we didn't bring it up yet. We didn't get into the props, but we'll talk about Eli Mitchell. And we were talking about that before we went on the air. And that's sort of what's leading me to believe, because the Eli Mitchell prop of 1.5, I guess we'll jump into it, but 1.5
touches,
attempts. Yeah, attempts.
Rush attempts
is plus money. And he's hit that on the Sharp app, we've got the Optimizer. In his last 15, it's hit 14 times. And I'm like, boy, that's an unusual plus money to touch the ball twice, basically to get 2 rushing attempts.
I mean, he would have
something that he has been doing. He's done it in the playoffs. And so that just leads me to believe the market kind of thinks that this is going to be like it's last game of the year. It's all McCaffrey.
Yep. There's no reason to rest him, right? And Eli Mitchell would have gotten 0 touches in the last game had McCaffrey not landed on his head or his shoulder. And obviously he got the touchdown. That definitely would have been a McCaffrey touchdown. So, no, it's an interesting bet in the perspective where you're like, hey, there's no reason for McCaffrey ever to come out of the game, but it's also a bet fading injury optimism too, right? McCaffrey is going to get 30 touches, right? So that means he has a higher chance to get injured for a play or two, which means guess who gets a carry?
That's how he gets in there. It's such a low number. I mean, look, it's the last 15. This is hitting at it's plus 124 and hitting at a 93% rate. That is beyond unheard of for a player, even in the playoffs. So, but the reason that's happening is because this is a running back position. And I think even if you're right, and they had no intention of putting Eli Mitchell in this game, McCaffrey just kind of gets dinged up and boom.
Yeah, it's one play. It's all it takes.
Yeah.
It's one play to get hurt, and you're talking about 2 carries in a row. And especially, like John said, if it's in the first half where they're probably going to be a little more conservative, you might hit this prop by the end of the first quarter if McCaffrey steps on a lineman's foot.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back to the MVP discussion. I've got one that's really interesting, and I want your take on it. So, you listen, plus 450, a little bit of juice on that McCaffrey potential one. Okay, I like it. But I've got one for you guys.
Or 75 for McCaffrey.
Yeah, plus 470. I've got one for you guys. Travis Kelce scores twice, puts up over 100 yards, gets the MVP. Chiefs
and then has sex with Taylor Swift in the blue tent.
Gets MVP sex with T-Swizz after been holding off for weeks. You know what's up? Succubus. Plus 1,400 Travis Kelce MVP.
I mean, it seems like it probably should be high. Well, here's the case for a non-quarterback getting MVP. Okay, so obviously for that to happen, it would have to be one of his touchdowns would presumably be a rushing touchdown, like an end around, something like that, or a Philly special where he throws it into the end zone. Because if he has 2 touchdowns and Mahomes has 3 total, so here's the case is that you'd have to have Mahomes MVP fatigue because he's won the last 2.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then also, John, I think you'll like this number. Geek, I told this to you, is that 4 of the last 10 MVPs were not quarterbacks going back 10 years. So 40%, everyone thinks it's automatic. It's that the quarterback will get the MVP. But if we go back to that, Seattle Super Bowl a decade ago, you're looking at, here's quickly rip off the last 10. You'll see Malcolm Smith, linebacker, Tom Brady, Von Miller, linebacker, Tom Brady, Nick Foles, Julian Edelman, wide receiver, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Cooper Kupp 2 years ago, and then Mahomes. So 4 of the last 10 non-QBs.
I'll tell you how Kelce gets there. 150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
10
8,
plus
9 catches, maybe 10 catches, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, the 125 plus. And for the conspiracy theorists out there, Kelce fits.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is this is 14 times your money. We're not betting on a likelihood of this happening that's high. This is a plus 1,400 play. Taylor's going to be in the audience.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they could have Taylor Swift there while he's hoisting up the MVP trophy. I mean, this plays right into what the NFL would love to do.
Sponsored by Pfizer, the whole thing.
That's it, man. He'll get 2 jabs.
Right.
Right after the game.
I like that.
Kelce celebrating with a needle hanging out of his arm.
Yeah, double jab, booster, and then they're also totally.
Remember, wait. I got a great one. When Kelce wins the MVP, sponsored by Pfizer, you know how they used to say, "I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to." You know how that now he's going to be like, "I'm getting my COVID shot. I'm getting a COVID shot. I'm getting a COVID." You know how they used to do those, like. They pay him $20 million.
Who was the first?
You just won the Super Bowl. Who was the first to ever do that?
I'm gonna guess. Was it Joe Montana?
That's a great guess.
Okay.
No.
What year was it? If you tell me what year.
Well, if I tell you the year, then it's
I'm not gonna era. Is it the 80s?
It's the 80s. It's the 80s. Yeah.
Early 80s, or is it like 80? Yeah. Early. Okay. So Dan Marino? No, he didn't. He didn't win a Super Bowl.
It wasn't Joe Montana.
Elway?
No. It was Phil Simms.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Of course, 1986.
Right.
Yep.
I love it.
Hey.
Good stuff. All right. I want to talk a little bit about how these two teams play defense.
Wait. Hold on. We didn't get John's MVP.
Oh, I like the McCaffrey bet. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that McCaffrey bet.
Right. Can we just take chalk?
But I don't mind throwing a little. I don't mind. I would sprinkle some on the Kelsey just because I think I would fade both quarterbacks here, and I would go McCaffrey, and I would take a bet on Kelsey as well. And I think you've got a shot at the defense, and it would be a defensive player from Kansas City as well. If we get but picking which defensive player is just next to impossible. So I wouldn't. There might be some alt bets on like. Is there like a defensive MVP bet? Something like that?
Well, how about this? How about there's the Chase Young at 20,000 plus 20,000.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
No, not him. I no.
It's going to be someone who scores. It'd have to be someone who scores on defense more than likely.
D-back
when you're looking at these two teams, it's Bosa or Jones. Those are the two.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take that.
Let's say 1,000.
Geek. The
unusual defensive back. Get the Larry Brown. Was it Larry Brown? Not Brown.
Yeah,
Malcolm Brown.
Interceptions returned.
No, Dallas back in the day against Pittsburgh when he picked off Neil O'Donnell a couple of times. It was Brown, right? I can't think of his first name. But,
so the other
one of those.
The last one that I'm going to put a little bit on is in the same vein as Travis Kelce, guys. Is the plus 2,000 on Debo because he could score the rushing touchdowns instead of McCaffrey.
Yes.
Yeah, he could score twice. I think it's 2 touchdowns,
but one of them could be rushing, and it doesn't go. So
he can get the rushing touchdown.
Yeah, normal. Normal game in the 40s or more points, you're gonna probably need 2 touchdowns. Most definitely, you're gonna need 2 touchdowns, unless it's a remarkable play to win the game at the end, something like that.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get into a little bit about how these teams are going to play, and we can talk a little bit of player props because I do like a lot of props in this game. I think it's just important to note how these two teams are kind of polar opposite in the way they play defense, and be it as it is, it's important to understand it. So the Chiefs are mostly going to play man coverage. They're mostly going to man up. And when you look at the 49ers, the players that do best, again, this doesn't mean all that much, but the players that do best against man coverage, Ayuk is definitely up there. I think he sees 23% more targets against man than zone. And George Kittle has excelled in this type of game environment as well against man coverage. They're the pair that of pass catchers, not shocking, that do the best against man coverage. On the flip side, the 49ers play almost exclusively zone defense, which very much favors the two players that Mahomes likes to throw to. The top one being Kelsey. Kelsey is a beast against the zone. It's been his whole career. The numbers are staggering in that regard. And secondarily, it is Rashee Rice, who operates in the middle and has done really well against the zone. So, like, what they do, they're going to be doing more of it on the Chiefs side. It plays perfectly into the way that they want to play. And the 49ers, again, you're always trying to figure out between that trio or quadruple of playmakers on that team. Where's the football going to go? Well, it does favor Ayuk a little bit here and Kittle more than Debo, who tends to do better, in a different environment. So I think those things are an important backdrop. Any thoughts to any of that stuff?
You guys worried about Ayuk, John? About Ayuk against Snead?
I'm more worried. The thing that worries me is the reason that they play man is because they blitz. Like Spagnuolo likes to bring pressure. So now it's not, obviously they're going to have 2 weeks to prepare for that. That's going to be the key, is how well they handle the pressure. So I love Shanahan as a play caller. I think probably the best in the game. So he'll be prepared for that. It's just a matter of if Purdy's going to execute. If Purdy executes, I'm not worried about Ayuk there. I think, if they could pick up the blitzes, they'll have something for him. They're going to do some things there to kind of slow down the blitz. And I think that's where McCaffrey becomes a bigger factor. Again, everything for me just comes back to McCaffrey. And I think he becomes a factor in the passing game and in the running game to slow down the pressure that Kansas City is going to put on them. So I've had full confidence in all of the weapons that San Francisco has. But I think to win this game, it's got to just be a heavy dose of McCaffrey. I think that's the way they do it, and limit the amount of passing that Purdy does. Let's take the ball out of his hands. Let's give him easy throws, quick throws, so see quick passes and screens to try to slow down the pass rush.
Yeah, I'm a little more concerned that Snead is an elite cornerback that could take out Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle's a little banged up, which is why, I alluded to that Deebo Samuel big game. And obviously, I think we all agree, the universe agrees about Christian McCaffrey here. So, by the way, just fast forward ahead, I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, and I think it's not even going to be close. That's why I'm looking at some of those alternate lines. Ooh. So I could be, anything that I'm saying, I think, it's based in that lens, that I think it's going to be one of those things where we're just like, oh my God, Mahomes is no longer the baby goat. He's the equal goat.
I like it. Let's take that and let's carry it over to some player props that we may or may not like for this week. And I like that theory. I think we've heard a couple things. First, McCaffrey heavy dosage, right? Alan, you're talking about Chiefs win and they win comfortably, which that's bold. I think that's bold because I do think Chiefs win as well, but I think it's a close game. But Chiefs comfortable win. I like the boldness of it.
Geek. When you talk about these props, I think, and you guys are all pretty much immersed in the Twitter sphere and in social media. I mean, the one prop that I think anyone I ask what you like, I have no idea, but usually, fade the public, that kind of narrative. Everyone loves the Isaiah Pacheco over stuff, over like 68 or whatever it is. So if you guys can just let me know if that is take the easy money, because all the concentration is on Travis Kelce and Mahomes this week. So did they forget about Isaiah Pacheco? Because literally 80% of analysts, gambling pros, said Isaiah Pacheco over on yardage.
Well, I think what you're going to see is Pacheco very much the mainstay of this offense. In other words, I don't think you're going to see anybody else out there. We haven't really seen anybody else. As far as that over, I mean, one thing I can tell you is he has been hitting overs of that number in the playoffs here. So if we look at the recent, effectively the playoff run, he's been hitting those overs. And I think the reason why the squares are on this, and I'm not on this play, but I think why the public is on it is because the expectation is up against San Francisco, you run the football, right? They have not been as good versus the run in the past this year. And so you're getting a little bit of that. Our model doesn't love it at all. We've got that number, the 67.5 total, as the correct number. So we're not seeing, the Sharp model is not seeing value in betting the over on Pacheco.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I just, based on what everyone, when you hear the consensus saying that they're so confident in that, I was like, I'm immediately skeptical. I know that's more narrative driven, John.
It's a perception bet again, because how many people on Twitter and everything else, whether it was the week before, Baltimore or against Buffalo, where everyone's like, this guy runs like, he runs so hard. I think Kelsey's quote was like, he runs like he's angry at the turf or something like that. And when everyone's watching those games, like all the focus is on that game, I think that kind of spread out like, man, he looks so hard to stop. And he does. But he's got to get the opportunities. I think 67. I think it's just a tough number. I don't necessarily like it to the under, but that's not going to be an easy one necessarily to go over on. And with Kelce emerging now back again, I think they're going to be much more reliant. And like Geek was saying about playing zone, I agree. I mean, Kelce is just a killer against the zone. I think the focus will be there. The only way he gets there is if this game gets out of hand, and then they're just kind of pounding the ball with him in the second half. So I would be leery on either side of that. But yeah, I agree with you. I hate when, you're seeing the entire world come bet or like this over, and it really hasn't moved the price at all. As a matter of fact, some books you can still get 66.5.
Let's get into some props as we're talking that we like, not that that we necessarily don't like. Let's get into some that we like here, and I'm going to go back to Kelce. I've got a bunch written down here, but I'm going to go back to Kelce as one of the ones I really love. Kelce, first of all, there's multiples that I like with Kelce. I think Kelce scores a touchdown. That's plus 100. You get Kelce anytime touchdown at plus 100. to me, that's almost a lock button in this game. That is one of my favorite props to take. He's scoring here. He's getting in the end zone, maybe twice. I don't hate the Kelce to score 2 touchdown prop, which I pull that up here. I didn't put that number in front of me, but plus 100 Kelce to score a touchdown, to me, very comfortable, very, very safe. Feels like it's going to happen. It's my first player prop for this breakdown.
Yeah, I worry that they would just smother Kelce knowing that's where they want to go, and then they're forced to, which is, one of my long shot props is Noah Gray. You just pick who you think the ancillary scrub is. It could be Justin Watson, it could be anyone. So I don't the only worry. It's the only concern there is that Kelce's not the, he's not what he used to be, and that they just smother him.
No, so my narrative that I'm playing is Kelce is what he used to be. He is fully back, and there's no way they go through a game without him scoring a touchdown. He is such a focal point. San Francisco pass defense has been less good than we thought. They're not that great. They're not shutting anybody down in the playoffs. I don't think they have the horses to shut. I like Kelce over yardage as well, by the way, but I think the touchdown is actually more likely and a more comfortable play even than the yardage over, where his yardage total, I believe it's set at 69 and a half. I'm comfortable with that one too, but I'm going for the touchdown plus 100. I think gets in the end zone.
I'm the ultimate buzzkill. I hate touchdown props because they're the most juiced. Like the probability of it happening and what they give you on the terrible. I agree with you though. He's getting in the end zone in this game. I just don't know it. I just don't feel like I'm getting enough of a price on
what
there.
What should it be, John? What should it be?
Plus 100 is great.
What do you plus 100?
Yeah. That's why I was surprised, man. I love it. Like,
yeah. So obviously, those are easy numbers to figure out, right? So he's basically
yes or no,
even money.
Yeah.
It's a yes. He's even money that he's going to score. I'd have to go back and look, but they're generally taking on a prop like that because everyone's going to be betting it as well. It probably should be something like minus, plus 140 or something like that. Would probably be plus 130, but you're just not used to. You're like, well, you're never going to get. Yeah, you're never going to get. No, probably be plus 120. Would probably be the bet. Probably plus 120. I know it doesn't seem like a lot.
Leave it to John to shit on my bet for 20 cents. Fucking
yeah, but 20 cents on plus 100 to plus 120 is a big deal. Yeah, listen, it's the Super Bowl. Have some fun and play some of these.
Well, let me show Geek where it matters, right? Okay, so you say John's plus 120 to your even money doesn't matter. What if it was minus 120? That's 20 cents off of where you think it should be. So if it was minus 120, you would say, oh, yeah, that is a big deal.
Yeah. No, that would be a big deal. But no, I love the 50-50 odds. I think he's got a greater than 50% chance of scoring a touchdown in this game. I'm betting overs. I think you could parlay these things up. So I think there's other ways to make it work. It could go with the you could mix that in with, for example, like Mahomes to throw for over 1.5 touchdowns or even over 2.5 touchdowns. There are ways to sort of parlay that up, get even less, ease some of the juice off of that, so to speak. But I think I'm taking it straight up. I want to ask you guys about the McCaffrey anytime touchdown line. It's set at minus 225. Now, you talk about laying some juice for a touchdown. That is some serious juice. I do think McCaffrey scores a touchdown or two in this game, but can you stomach laying minus 225 on that?
I see it at minus 215 on DraftKings, but similar, right? I mean, that's it's going to cost you to find out, right? I mean, it's likely to happen, but you're paying for it. So if it doesn't happen, and let's just say you're a $50 unit bettor, it's going to cost you, man. It's going to cost you over $100.
That one's as unsexy as it gets.
Yeah.
No, I kind of like where Alan was going on. Kind of looking at some of these lesser players. You're going to get one. At least one's going to score. So kind of who's got the shot here? Is it?
Do you like the Noah Gray one because it's I think it's first touchdown, because I like doing the first touchdown. You get the better odds than any time. I believe first touchdown was plus 3,000. And you could also bet
plus 5,500 on DraftKings.
Well, there you go. So it's even better. It's 55-1 Noah Gray. By the way, 5 targets for Noah Gray in the conference championship.
Yep.
He's going to be a great showdown turd that we'll be talking about on the showdown breakdown this week, where we're looking at the DFS angles. And just a reminder that we are, of course, separately doing a straight showdown breakdown to break down all the DFS angles for the big Super Bowl DFS showdown right here on the DF Summer YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out as well.
I would look towards Kansas City for that turd touchdown if you're looking for the long shot more than I would San Francisco. I think San Francisco just has more options that they're going to be like their main options are more like, I think basically, I mean, it's going to be a lot harder for them to get out of that McCaffrey, Samuel, Kittle, Ayuk kind of grouping. And I think you've got a better shot at finding someone outside of Kelsey or Pacheco who's going to score or Mahomes for Kansas City. So I like that looking at a Gray. Gray's not bad at 5,500. I don't mind that. Or if you want to take, on the first time touchdown or take his anytimes. I don't mind that.
The Gray anytime touchdown plus 900.
9
to 1. Not bad.
The turd touchdown. I like how you guys call it that. I had not heard that. I'm sure that's something that's regular on your pods. But the only turd touchdown that I think you can go with is the Kyle Juszczyk.
Yep.
Yes. Wait, he just brought me around to another one of my prop plays. But what is that number for Juszczyk?
Oh, for Juszczyk, anytime is 850. And then, again, I still think that first or last is the way to go because it more than triples. It's plus 4,000. So if you're going to do it, you might as well get the major payoff here. You put down $50, you go home with $2K in your pocket.
Juszczyk anytime. It looks like, or the first touchdown plus 5,000 on BetMGM here. But that actually does bring me around, Alan, to a bet I just like. Again, just a straight bet is total receiving yards or receptions. Like it works both for Juszczyk receptions or Juszczyk receiving yards, but over 3.5 receiving yards for Juszczyk. Effectively, give him one reception that goes forward, and he does tend to catch a pass. So that's set at over 3.5 receiving yards, set at minus 135. I want to find his reception prop to compare it here and see, but I do already like over 3.5 receiving yards for Juszczyk. He has, let me pull that up here. Let me pull that up here on screen. But Juszczyk has pretty much hit that number, every game during the playoffs.
I had been betting the Justin Watson, the wide receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs. I've been betting the overs, but I was turned off to it last week. He did get his one catch for 16 yards, but the number was 16.5. He had been averaging like 20-something yards per catch. But now with Kadarius Toney going to be there, Richie James is, could be a factor. I'm not going to MVS has learned how to catch. I'm not going back to that well again. But I do like what you're saying. I think that John said something interesting before that really applies to this is that they're going to go to their guys here, right? And you're really... I don't mind taking a little $5 shot here and there, but let's try to find the value in the core players here. And a lot of times it's under, right? I mean, just betting sides in general was under was the more fruitful bet this year. And obviously the Super Bowl, I think anyone that even betting for more than casually knows that they juice those things up a little bit.
I can get those unders going on the secondary names. So just going back to your initial thought, like Justin Watson, instead of kind of looking at him and looking at that over, I mean, you kind of, or Valdez Scantling, for example, his total, his reception total or his yardage total set at 19.5. And we know with MVS, that's probably 2 catches. And this dude's not catching 2 passes a game most of the time. So you want to look at some unders. I would look at the secondary guys, especially from Kansas City. Like I said, the initial breakdown that I had for this game with San Francisco running a lot of zone, that favors the down the middle guys. It does not favor Marquez Valdez Scantling. It doesn't favor Watson. And it definitely, I don't even know if these exist, but if I could get some unders on Mecole Hardman.
Well, yeah, I bet the Mecole Hardman a couple weeks ago. He's not even on the board anymore because
they pulled him from the board. He's not playing. Like I'm looking at unders
he got one snap last week.
You know what that also bodes poorly for is Mahomes rushing against a zone type of defense. Zone defense is going to be able to have everything in front of him, so his rushing yardage may be a good under.
How about his John? How about his passing? It's 262.5 right now, and he's gone under 6 of the last 9 regular season games was under 262. And if we think that this is truly a conservative, Isaiah Pacheco is the head of the spear game plan, under 262 seems, like I said, it's hit a bunch of times, 6 of the last 9.
I like both quarterbacks to go under their passing number. I like the Purdy one a little bit more. I think it's 249.5. I like that one under a little bit more than Mahomes, but I like both to go under.
Here's the DraftKings numbers. Purdy's 246.5, and Mahomes is 261.5. 246 and 261.
You guys want to be mad? I like both overs.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do.
Overs. And by the way, they're both evenly juiced at 115.
Yeah, dude, I'm betting over on both of those. I think this game, like I said, John, I'm with you on the start slow. I think this game produces a lot of offense. And I think both of these quarterbacks play to the over. Our projection models agree. The projection models for the first time almost all season, it's rare that it ever likes an over on QB yardage. The Sharp app, Proptimizer, we love the overs. We love the overs this week. I'm going to show you Mahomes here, total passing yards. We've got that one set at 287. I like the Purdy one even more, set at 276 projected against a 246 number. Has this been hitting? Barely. Not that it matters what it's been doing, but barely. Mahomes not been hitting this kind of number for the most part. Purdy has been sort of getting there. It's really close, though. I mean, look at the average yardage here is so spot on. Purdy's been hitting overs all year long against his projections. It's just been a trend with him that he's projected lower than usual. But yeah, give me those overs, especially Brock Purdy over. I think this game is close. I think they're both driving the football at the end to score. I think the one team's driving, the next team's driving. I think we're going to get a lot of second half fireworks on offense potentially. So yeah, I'm going to lean overs on in those spots. And again, the unders I'd be looking at are secondary wide receivers, maybe Valdez Scantling unders. I wasn't able to find any of the really sketchy players at unders at this point, but that's the way I'd be going. Looking at the main guys for each team, kind of just doing what you expect. I think one of the great things about the Super Bowl is teams do what you think they normally do. Like they do what they do best. They bring it. You know, San Francisco is going to be running Christian McCaffrey a ton. That's their best guy. They're going to be throwing to the names that you know they love to throw to between Ayuk, Debo, and focusing Christian McCaffrey. And the same thing's going to happen, I think, with the Chiefs. They're just going to lean heavy on Kelsey. Kelsey overs all day. Again, yardage, yes. Reception, 6.5. Fuck yeah. Now you can't put this all in the same bet, but I like everything over on Kelsey and to score a touchdown. And then Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is currently sitting at 65.5 receiving yards. We've got him projected for 85 receiving yards. That is enough of a gap to bet at minus 115. And so those are the areas that I'm going to be focusing on and looking to create parlays off of. As I build the parlays, just kind of mixing those plays in. What do you guys think?
Terrible take.
Yes, always. I just want
really want.
I'm against you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you just don't go down with your second pitch, right? You just don't lose. So I think you have to focus on the guys who are your best players, and I think that's what we're going to see here. So, and for sure, you'll see that on the Kansas City side, where it's a little bit more narrow as to who their best options are, which is why we like Kelsey so much. And I just think, to me, everything comes back to Christian McCaffrey. I think he has a big game here. He has to, and that's why I think the best bet on the passing yardage, I think, is that Purdy under. I think it's going. The only way he gets over is if McCaffrey gets like 50 yards, 60 yards receiving, something like that. But I think it's going to be a heavy dose of McCaffrey. Even Debo in the running game. I like running yardage overs for San Francisco. and I like their passing yards under. Those are the ones that I like. I'm always looking for an excuse to bet some unders. So I think that's the mindset you really need to look at. Is everyone goes into whenever I listen to the guys on the radio and all. I mean, you never hear anyone though. They always rattle off like the 5 props of players that they think are going to do well. Well, how come no one ever looks at the guys that they think are going to do poorly?
Yeah,
no one wants to sit there and root for it.
Right. Nobody wants to root for punts, right?
Yeah. I don't want to root for, I don't want to root for Travis Kelce to not catch any passes.
Without
right?
looking,
I do too, but it's like you don't want to be betting on it. Like I don't mind betting on it, but the average public is like, oh, like hoping that they don't throw for whatever reason mentally, it's just much more exciting to hope they don't throw to your guy.
Without looking, what do you think Kelce to score 2 touchdowns is?
Plus 450.
It's 550.
That's a good guess. Yeah,
I like it,
and it should be 8. It should be like 750 or 8.
Oh yeah,
should it?
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to score 2 touchdowns. You know how hard that is.
Kelce does it a lot.
Yeah, but all the attention.
A lot.
I mean, he does it. He's
had 5 touchdowns this year, Kelce. 5 the whole year.
All right.
I feel like he scored 2 in a playoff game. Or was he 5 all year?
Yeah, it's hard to do, man. It's hard. Hey, by the way, with our last sort of segment here, do you want to talk a little of the nonsense props? I actually like these this year.
Yeah, let's get into some of the silly props for this game. And take me through. Seslowsky, you're big into the nonsense props. I'm looking. I know there's some coin toss silly props out there. I can't imagine even.
Well, John pointed out that the coin toss it's usually like minus 104. John had said it's even money, so that at least it's a true 50-50 bet this year, right? But if you just look at the history of the coin toss, there's been 57 Super Bowls, 30 have gone tails, 27 have gone heads. So I mean, it's I don't know, or
we want regression.
We're going full gambler's fallacy on this one.
This is class. This is the whole reason that they put that board up at the roulette table.
Yeah.
This is for
like, yeah.
I mean, there's been 9 black in a row. There's no way another one hits. Run over there and play it.
Well, tails was last year, so if you believe in momentum, then it should be tails again, right?
Yes.
So, I mean,
I definitely don't believe in momentum.
I mean, you always hear that. I think there's a stronger tails Colt out there, just like in roulette. There's a stronger bet on black Colt, right? Would you agree that
there's also a theory that the coin, well, they use a different coin too. There's a theory that it's slightly weighted, like a real U.S. quarter is slightly more weighted to the head side or something like that. So it fractionally flips heads, I think. I think.
Or would that mean that gravity pulls the heads down and it flips tails?
Well, oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I forget which way it works, but there is some sort of logic that it fractionally flips to one side or the other. All
right.
But we don't have to get too deep in that. What about the color of the Gatorade? What's going on with that?
Purple, since it's the same color as the logo of the Super Bowl.
Wait, I've got something on.
Is that the theory here?
That was my theory. That was my. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I believe it was purple for Kansas City last year. I think they were purple.
Okay. No, I think it's been blue the last 2 years.
Well, no, purple was last
something
year.
On this. Oh man, I did see something on this where it's
purple
been
was last year. I looked it up
in a row.
So purple was last year. All right, so I'll give you from 2001 to 2023. Orange has hit 21.7% of the time. Water clear 17.4, nothing 17.4, blue 17.4, then yellow 13, purple 13, and red and pink has yet to hit.
Right. Is it a lock button that they dump Gatorade?
No, because none has hit four times since
water
in the 22 years. The previous.
What are the odds for nothing? I think it's nothing.
What's not? No, because I mean, I don't know. Did San Fran do it in the championship game? Because Kansas City's done it every time.
We've spent too much time on that one. All right, national anthem, guys. Reba McEntire. What was it, like 82 seconds, something like that?
90 seconds now.
90 seconds. Okay,
90.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if this is an edge, but I did hear and looked. I didn't watch the video yet, but she did sing the national anthem at a Dallas Cowboys game in 1999.
Did you time it?
No, it's on YouTube. You can go watch it. Just type in Reba McEntire national anthem 1999, and you can actually watch the national anthem.
Here's what I read about this one. The opening odds opened at 84.5 seconds, and it has been bet up to 90. So what does that mean? The 84 was a low number at the opening. They bet it up. Maybe they saw this YouTube.
Well, No, it means that she is a you know, in the Super Bowl they tend to drag it out more, right? So if you look at what her past she's a quicker singer. I think she got it done in like 67 seconds. I unless I have that wrong, you could check that video. But the Super Bowl they tend to go you know, like with the notes.
She's not doing that.
It depends the genre of the artist, right? So, but I mean, if we want to get technical, the way it was written, it should be done in like maybe a minute. You know, it's really quick. So there was a guy, I don't know if you guys are, I'm not a Ranger fan, but the guy who used to do it at the Rangers, I think he passed away, used to do it for the Rangers, was the best. Go look up 1994, the 1994 Stanley Cup final Game 7. It's the best rendition of the national anthem.
Who was it?
Of all time. I can't think of his name. He was the house. He used to do it for the Rangers.
Got it.
I'm forgetting. He was more like an opera type of guy, and I'm forgetting his name right now. But it's fantastic. Watch the Game 7 94 Rangers Stanley Cup.
They need to have a rap guy do it, like a rapper rap this.
We haven't had anyone rap it. That's a good point. Yeah. I assume that will be coming. I've heard electric guitar. I've been there for like Zach Wild at Citi Field did it one time, or Shea Stadium, I think it was at the time. Yeah, so we've heard all sorts of renditions, but man, that seems quick. 90 seconds seems kind of quick. I would just think the over.
I'm taking unders on Reba. She's not going to drag that note. She ain't dragging it.
She's older too, so yeah, you know, it might take her a little longer to get it out.
No, when you're older, the last thing you want to do is try to hold a note for a long time. Right. You're tired.
By the way, very odd choice for the national anthem was Reba McEntire. Right?
Really.
It's very bizarre. I mean,
like, how old is Reba McEntire?
I mean, I just, even in her peak, Reba McEntire was like someone that people knew her name but didn't know any songs. So unless you
wait. Minus plus 200 odds. Can either of you guys name a Reba McEntire song?
No, zero.
Oh, God,
you might as well plus 800.
Plus 500 odds?
There's not a chance. I know she was on that TV show.
I couldn't even begin. Reba. I wouldn't even know. I don't have anywhere to pull from to possibly neba Reba McEntire.
No, if I heard her song right now, I would not be able to identify it was her. Like if it was just playing in the background, I would never say, "Is that Reba McEntire?"
Yeah. You know, I used to work
my country knowledge is limited to, you know, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson.
By the way, this whole thing about singing the national anthem at sporting events, do you guys know when and how it started?
No,
I don't. Let's say
it's World War II.
World War II. I was going to say World War II.
Yeah,
okay,
you got it. So it was obviously.
I figure it's got to be some big national event.
Right. Before that, like in the 20s, I mean, even before that, they did not sing the national anthem at sporting events. It became like a 9/11 type event for its time. Right. And, you know, that's when it started. So it's like this weird, even when I told you, I referee high school basketball, I always am like dumbfounded that they do the national anthem. Like, what does that have to do with a basketball game? Right.
It is. We don't have a great national anthem when it comes to sports. Like there's some other national anthems that get you pretty fired. Like, the UK, I remember when Lennox Lewis was fighting, one of the big fights Lennox Lewis had, like, it was at the Garden, and when they played both national anthems, and like the UK, man, everyone just, they get fired up, like it's I don't know, it just, for the most part, like the US national anthem just isn't as good a sporting event, national anthem, to get you fired up at least. It does. Listen, the Whitney Houston one was the classic one at the Super Bowl, right? That was
I can't stand the Whitney Houston one. I can't stand
that. Was the one everyone loved, and like everyone got emotional for that.
They play that one at a lot of the basketball games that I referee, and it's so drawn out, long. It's too long. You know?
All right, I just want to go on record as saying I disagree with both of you guys here. I want no association with your hatred of the national anthem at sporting events. I do get fired up.
National at sporting events. I like the national anthem.
No, I like it.
But I just don't.
I would like a song for sporting events that gets you a little bit more fired up to start.
We got sporting songs too. Like, you know, you go to UK, sure, they're singing the UK national anthem to start, and that's fine. God bless the Queen or whatever. God save the Queen. But then we get a little bit of like, they're crazy. I will survive songs, and they're rowdy soccer hooligan songs.
Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, a little Sweet Caroline. That's right. There's always like, they're always like, singing along with Geek. Something or another. You go to, give me some Sweet Caroline. How did that take over? All right,
it's so Cotton corny. Eye Joe at Yankee Stadium. It's like,
right.
Are they doing that?
No, that's lame. That one's definitely lame. Fuck the Yankees.
It's awful.
Do you guys want to wrap it up by doing a just lightning round? Your one prop that you haven't mentioned yet that you think might be interesting to anyone watching or consuming this video?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think let's get into. You want to do just any prop? You want to do a silly prop?
Whatever you want. Whatever something that you're actually going to bet that people can. If people love to tail John, if they love to tail the Geek, you know, if you want to tail me or fade us, just the one that you haven't mentioned yet. That
I'll give you my can't lose. Prop.
Already all right, fade this one. Go ahead.
Might want to fade it. My can't lose prop. You're going to move Kansas City to +7.5. You're going to parlay that with McCaffrey and Kelsey anytime touchdowns. -225, -215 on the McCaffrey touchdown. You're getting +100 on the Kelsey touchdown. And we're going to move the line for that third, just a little bit of juice there. Can't lose. And I think all three of those spots are going to hit. And so we get some juice. We get some juice, but low risk.
Lightning round. All right, man. John, what's the prop you want to give out people?
All right, I'll give you the bets that I talked about. I really like that first half under bet, so I like that. The Purdy under, which I gave out as well, Purdy under the passing yardage. I like that bet. And then the one that I sort of alluded to, and I'm trying to see, I'm going to bring it up right now, is Mahomes. So I like that under 26.5 rushing yardage on Mahomes. That's one that we really didn't talk about.
Fair enough. The last one that I actually made the bet on, I made it on Hard Rock, though. I didn't make it on DraftKings, so I don't know what it is. It's no fourth down conversions at +300. And just a couple quick stats on it. Kansas City regular season, 10 of 20 on fourth down conversions, 2 for 3, though, in the playoffs. And San Francisco, 7 for 13 in the regular season, 0 for 1 in the playoffs. It also plays into they go conservative in the first half, so you're really worrying about the second half. So +300, no fourth down conversions.
Love it. I want to thank you, Alan Seslowsky from RotoWire, for being here with us. He's crushing it on Sirius satellite radio, fantasy radio on the regular. Look for your content on the podcast. Look up.
This is the worst plug I've ever gotten.
Yeah, plug yourself, Alan. I didn't prep for the plug.
Follow me on Twitter at Alan Seslowsky. I post everything there.
There we go. I didn't prep for the plug.
You sound so professional on the radio. When I turn on the radio and you're on, I'm like, man, Alan's like, it's like he went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting or something. Like, you're fantastic.
Dude, first of all, thank you for saying that, right? And second of all, that is such a northeast of the United States joke. Connecticut School of Broadcasting. That was
Joe Benigno.
That's a commercial that ran in the Northeast to like get people to go to broadcasting school. That was literally, when the days of regular radio, that was in every pod was the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. So that's a great reference.
But you are great on it. So I do enjoy listening.
I appreciate you guys.
Crushing it on the radio. And of course, John, Statsational Alesia from the Sharp app, the head of all betting and others, and basically strategy betting content maniac over there, crushing the bets, giving out your plays, John. If you want to follow John and John's picks for this and every single game, and just tail them, you sign up at Sharp app, get in that Discord. John's giving out plays, of course, in the Discord. We've got prize picks and sleeper picks going out there, the Proptimizer tool, crushing it. So Sharp app is actually running a special right now through the Super Bowl. Here, let me find that, but it is promo code. Let me put that up on screen here, but promo code SB or BG24, Big Game 24, gets you Sharp App Pro for $229 for the year. The Proptimizer tool, the Sharp Report, everything that you need to crush your bets. And of course, I am Kevin Allen from DFS Army. Check in the channel here. We'll be breaking down the Showdown Breakdown with Bobby Wow and the crew later in the week. Make sure to check that out. Again, thanks for being here, guys. Enjoy the game and good luck, everybody. I hope all your bets smash. Take care.